In early 2000, a civil society network, the Nile Basin Discourse (NBD), was formed with a membership spread across the 10 countries: Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. Later in 2012, South Sudan joined the Nile Basin Discourse.
The Nile Basin Discourse is a civil society organization that has a niche of engaging the grassroots communities. Now, the relevance came about because there was the need to link the grassroots to the intergovernmental organizations where the Nile Basin Initiative is.
NBD's niche in transboundary dialogue platforms has contributed to the enhancement of the Nile Basin investments on shared waters, like the Nyimur Aswa Multipurpose Water Resources project, the Lakes Edward and Albert Fisheries 1 and 2 project, the Baro-Akobo-Sobat Multipurpose Water Resources Development project, the Regional Rusumo Falls Hydroelectric project, the Sio-Malaba-Malakisi River Basin Management project, and the Mara River Basin Management project, in addition to shared waters wetland sanitation improvement for communities within the Nile Basin. Between 2016 and 2018, NBD mobilized and held transboundary community dialogues on Transboundary Nyimur Aswa Multipurpose Water Resources project between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of South Sudan. The NBD-led community dialogues influenced project decision makers and implementers to, among other concessions, provide this 24-kilometer community access road from Nyimur sub-county headquarters to Adagkolo village at the border with South Sudan, the location of the planned transboundary project. The community is now reaping from the positive outcomes of these engagements.
Actually, it was a problem to the community. Accessing it was a path road. It was a path road. It was not all that easy. It takes a long time. Like for the women, even to take them to Ogili Health Center 3, it wasn't all that easy. And even for the women who goes to the garden, actually all people were, it wasn't all that good for them. The women now, at least, you don't hear much issue of death on the way transporting pregnant women to the hospital. And even going to the garden is not time consuming. The community are benefiting and they're appreciating.
The Mara River Basin Management project is another transboundary project between the Republic of Kenya and the Republic of Tanzania. The project aims at providing the communities living in the Mara River Basin with alternative livelihood activities to reduce pressure on the destruction of the environment along the Mara River Basin. Presently, the river basin is being degraded through environmentally unfriendly human activity, including artisan sand mining.
This is the activity that's going on every day for income. We have been able to hold some meetings for the community around to educate them on how to mitigate the destruction of the banks of the river. They are planting trees along the river, and also they get benefit from the river.
NBD mobilized and hosted dialogues to engage the Mara River project area communities with project implementers, government, and other stakeholders. These dialogues enabled implementers to directly interact with project beneficiaries, updating them on the project implementation status and its benefits so as to enhance community ownership. The communities asked questions to better understand the project, and some raised views and concerns arising out of project activities.
We bring in the communities to know their benefits out of these developments and how the communities can also contribute and develop the ownership.
NBD contributed to the preparation study of the Baro-Akobo-Sobat Multipurpose Water Resources Development. The study aimed at two specific outcomes.
One was to prepare a transboundary integrated water resource management and development plan. The second was to identify and prepare strategic water resource development and investment projects, which they call medium and long-term projects, to benefit the region in terms of water supply, energy, agriculture, and protection of the environment.
In December 2018, NBD organized the Transboundary Stakeholders Consultation Dialogue on the Baro-Akobo-Sobat project.
We mobilized members of grassroots communities from South Sudan and Ethiopia, representatives of local authorities from both countries, the NBI intro representatives, and project coordinators. So during that forum, even communities, urged the governments of South Sudan and Ethiopia to commit sufficient resource for these short-term projects, which were designed to benefit communities. They also urged the project designer, to continue facilitating transboundary interaction and cooperation and come up with bankable, feasible projects in the region. They also urged international communities, especially funding donors, to extend their financial, technical, and moral support to the governments of the region and to the NBI office intro in Addis Ababa. So it was quite successful and tangible influence that NBD, through mobilization of communities, contributed to the Baro-Akobo-Sobat Multipurpose Water Resource Development and Management project.
NBD has been essential in engaging communities to dialogue on the Rusumo Falls Hydroelectric project, a joint undertaking and collaboration between the Nile Basin states of Burundi, Rwanda, and Tanzania. The project aims at providing accessibility to hydropower, livelihood restoration, and local area development of communities around the project area.
We have big projects that are like the Rusumo Hydroelectric project, where people are involved from the inception of the project up to implementation. People are getting energy, but in their consultations on due diligence, on safeguards, making sure that these big programs, these big investments do not compromise the lives of the people.
The dialogue in Burundi took place in Gitega, bringing together beneficiaries from the provinces of Muyinga, Karusi, and Gitega. Project-affected communities expressed a gratitude to the project implementers for having resettled them in newly constructed houses and compensated some of them when they were moved from their original homes to give way for construction of project structures. At the dialogue, some beneficiaries claimed to have no running water despite the infrastructure being in place. The communities requested for performance improvement on water pumps for irrigated agriculture so that water can reach the villages as planned. Beneficiaries from Gitega requested to also be considered to benefit from the local development projects like their counterparts from Busoni and Giteranye. In Rwanda, NBD organized a dialogue at Chirehe, bringing in beneficiaries for consultation on the LADP and the livelihood restoration projects. Beyond the status update on project implementation, stakeholders learned that while many of the project-affected individuals had been compensated, some claimed slow processing of compensations and others not considered at all, yet the project was nearing end. The dialogue gave room for the implementers to ably assure communities that all the claims will be considered, assessed, and resolved before project closure. In Tanzania, the dialogue at Biharamulo brought together project stakeholders including project riparian communities in Tanzania. Aside receiving updates on project progress and its benefits from the implementers, the communities recounted on both the positive and negative impact of the project in their areas. A number of houses were damaged following the blasting of rocks, and gardens and homes were swamped due to backwater flooding, causing physical loss and leading individuals into dire poverty, consequently being unable to afford school for their children. Project implementers took responsibility and affirmed to resolve all complaints.
CODISO was also among the organizations which was assisted by Tanzania Nile Basin Discourse Forum with a few grants to facilitate the training to the community so that people may be aware about their rights, compensation, and how resettlement would have been done, but also forming the committees from each places where we thought the project would have been would affect the people.
In the year 2018, NBD organized the Transboundary Stakeholders Dialogue on the Lex Edward and Albert Integrated Fisheries and Water Resources Management Project, LIF2, between the Republic of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Basically, we brought DRC communities to cross the Ugandan border and meet their Ugandan counterparts in Kasese district, where we had representatives from NBI and NELSAP. We have representatives from the local authorities, both countries. We have representatives from NELSAP and LIF project coordinators from Uganda and DR Congo. Communities were not happy with the technology choice for the riverbank protection and environmental restoration. They insisted that these technologies should be locally available, should be environmentally friendly, and should be less costly. They proposed, for instance, planting of bamboo trees around river banks instead of eucalyptus tree or any other tree which is not environmentally friendly. They also insisted that they should not use this gabion wire for catchment restoration. The other area that they also focused was improving and strengthening political, technical, and people-to-people cooperation between the two countries, especially in the areas of security. So they urged the two governments to institutionalize their bilateral cooperation.
In 2021, towards the end of the shared LIF2 project, NBD made a follow-up, engaging communities on the Ugandan side to establish the outcomes of LIF2 and how best NBD can contribute to the forthcoming LIF3. The community appreciated the useful facilities from the project, but were also concerned of how the project gains shall be sustained, raised concern on high taxation for use of the facilities by authorities, and requested the project to look into improvement of public health and livelihood improvement for young girls.
Communities on both sides informed the NELSAP NBI project designers to work on the activities, social amenities that would benefit communities and improve their livelihoods.
NBD has implemented community dialogue platforms in Kenya and Uganda on preliminary studies for the Sio-Malaba-Malakisi. The dialogue focused on the Angololo Water Development Project's implementation status, potential benefits to communities and the community's involvement in the project. The dialogue brought out issues of concern from the communities, including very little information about the proposed project, how the project will benefit the communities, compensation for possible project-affected persons, and gender considerations in future consultations. Women preferred to be consulted separately as most of them would not comfortably express themselves in the presence of men. All these issues were appropriately responded to by the implementers to the satisfaction of the communities, and in return, the communities pledged to support the project activities. Hence, NBD's initiative of organizing stakeholder engagements on such projects is vital because it substantially contributes to achieving the objectives of the projects with minimal negative impact to the communities, and that communities actually benefit from these projects and have a platform to engage and contribute to discourse on their concerns.
And we actually create platforms for grassroots community to learn the benefits of cooperation.
NBD's strategic focus for the next 5 years can be summarized as empowered and inclusive action across the Nile River Basin, which is anchored on 6 strategic objectives. Inclusivity and cooperation based on the Universal SDGs and the Africa Agenda 2063, and therefore responds to the different targets of the agendas. Increased linkage and influence of stakeholders to government and intergovernment structures for basin-wide projects and programs. Influencing transboundary dialogue and actions for the sharing of the Nile water resources. Influencing policy development, planning and aqua awareness for equitable utilization and sustainable incremental management of the Nile Basin resources. Expanding and strengthening a diverse NBD membership base. Pursuing diversity of or for institutional and financial sustainability of NBD and its membership across the basin.
The immediate future is very bright, and I think communities are much more aware now. Communities are much more communicating with the government, despite the challenges of that there is uneven response from the government. But I think communities are now really aspiring for more space to be able to be held, and how they can participate in managing this water. So it's not only about science, it's also about people themselves being engaged, being listened to, and providing solutions. We are co-creating solutions now with the communities. That is more important for the immediate future, but in the long term, we need to work together as a common framework for the 10 countries, whereby communities are at the center of the decision making.